does it affect their sexual persuasion as well? I mean, how many of them are actually normal heterosexual human beings?
You've got to understand, for the psychopath and related deviants, everything that operates inside them is for power and control over others. However they develop the ways and means of doing this. If they do it by, subtle manipulation, and there are women psychopaths who do it by pretending to be, weak and helpless. But it's all about power and control over others. And, the more power that they can feel by controlling and hurting and dominating others, and it doesn't matter whether, to a psychopath, sex is relieving a physiological urge. And it doesn't matter to them whether it's an infant, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl, whether it's a woman, whether it's a donkey.
And the reason for that may be, and I'm not saying it is, I'm just, I'm kind of thinking this along as I go along here, is that they literally do not have any compassion or passion for anybody. No. For example, let's take, I'll give you an example, Bill and Hillary Clinton. Okay. Now, Bill Clinton has had his escapades with sexual perversion, and I've heard stories about Hillary Clinton. I'm not saying they're true or not, but I've heard stories about...
Yeah, I've heard them.
Okay, so it's about the lesbian acts, and it's like there is no, there is no real unity in the marriage there.
No.
It's all for show.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, as far as it's all self-centeredness, the relief of the sexual urge it doesn't really matter who it is or what it is. It's and it would be more. I would almost compare it to not a rapist. Well, maybe a rapist. I mean, a rapist doesn't. The stories tell me.
The rape isn't about sex. It's about power and control.
Right. It's about power and control. Yeah. So there's many different avenues. There's anomalies with these people that evidently you've explored.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to go to a break here. Fascinating conversation. What's that?
We have lots on the website.
Okay, well, we're going to give the website out. I'm going to let you give it out when we come back. This is Michael Herzog, The American Awakening, coming to you live from Round Rock, Texas. You're with my special guest, Laura Knight Jadczyk. We'll see you in 3. You're listening to Republic Broadcasting. All right, we're back. Michael Herzog, The American Awakening, coming to you live from Round Rock, Texas. Short segment coming up here with my special guest, Laura Knight Jadczyk. Laura, tell me, is it a combination of money and power and control, or do they want power more than money, or money more than control, or control? I mean, what is...
It's all about control and power. Money is just a means to that end.
I see. Okay. Now, well, tell me...
That's the currency of control in this world.
Well, now, tell me, is it possible, and I'm going to take you back, did you remember seeing, you may not have, but there was, I don't even remember, some event where George H.W. Bush was talking about his son Jeb Bush, and he started to cry. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that one.
Was that staged? Was that age? And maybe at this point in time he thinks that it's getting closer to his death? I mean, do these people, are they atheists? Do they believe in Lucifer? What is their mindset there?
Well, okay, getting off to that, first of all, I don't think that he was feeling anything like what you or I would consider to be a real emotion. If anything, he was feeling sorry for himself. That's really the only thing, the closest thing to an emotion that a psychopath or deviant can feel is sorry for themselves. They can fake crying, they can fake emotion. Mm-hmm. But as far as what they worship or spirituality, they create religions, they create religious ideas, and they use them to, exert power over other people. What do they worship themselves? Well, the one thing that I keep coming up against and finding hints and clues about is that there is, believe it or not, there is a vast network of connections between them that have to do with, satanic practices. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want to say too much about those kinds of things, but it's true that there is, a strong satanic tendency among them, and whether they actually believe that they are summoning spirits, or whether they do it because other people have done it before them and have taught it to them, I really can't say, because not too many people have gotten inside that part of them, have gotten close enough to where they can even find out anything about that. But it keeps coming up. There's OTO, Golden Dawn, Satanism. You just keep touching on that. It's like a horrible black hole that's somewhere at the bottom of all of it whenever you dig a little bit deeper.
Well, we know that once a year a lot of the world leaders, including members of the White House, go to the Bohemian Grove and they do a mock sacrifice to an owl called Moloch. So, and this is what is called the cremation of care, which means that's some kind of a, symbolic ritual that they do so that, they can go another year and maim and cheat and whatever they're worshiping, whether it be Lucifer or whatever, gives them complete amnesty for whatever it is they're going to do that's nasty to the world, I guess.
Yeah, well, think about this woman, Elizabeth Bathory, who was one of the ancestors or relatives of the guy, Vlad Dracula or whatever, cousin to King Stephen of Hungary, Czechoslovakia. It's one of those places. But she believed that bathing in the blood of virgins would restore her beauty, and for her, beauty was power. That was how she kept and exerted her power. So she was very invested in remaining beautiful, and if killing a bunch of village girls and draining their blood out and bathing in it was what it took to stay that way, that's what she did.
In your mind, because I'm starting to feel this way in my world, do you feel like in their capacity they use, the laws that are written, and there's millions of them, are written for us? But as far as they're concerned, they are above the law. And we see that played out consistently when, somebody will get arrested or pardoned, or they'll take one of their own down for one reason or another.
Well, think about that. Stop. Just a second. Are the laws really written for us? Because if you think about what we call a legal trial, the legal process, it's a process whereby, where they pick and choose what evidence is allowed to be heard. The jurors are not allowed to personally know the person that they are judging, to have any real knowledge of who that person is. They're only allowed to hear the evidence as presented by the attorneys, which is all according to a preset formula, and it's so easily controlled that the outcome can be decided in advance, and the entire drama set up so that the innocent are found guilty and the guilty are found innocent, and then the process of swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That oath means something to a person of conscience. It means nothing to a person of no conscience, and a person of no conscience will swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and will lie through their teeth.
Good point.
You see?
Listen.
So the law is not made to protect normal human beings from psychopaths. It is made to protect psychopaths from normal human beings.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Listen, let me ask you, Laura, I know we had talked about this, and you said you had a lot to cover off the air, and I had mentioned that didn't want to take calls. I do have a caller on the... Do you want to take some calls? Or?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go to a break here, and I'm going to open up the phone lines at 800-313-9443 for the rest of the program. If you folks have a question or comment for my special guest, Laura Knight Jadczyk. Awakening, coming to you live from Round Rock, Texas. My special guest, Laura Knight Jadczyk. We're talking about psychopaths here. Now, before I go to my callers, I'm going to open up the phone lines again. So if you have a question, call in at 800-313-9443. I want you to give out your website again, Laura. Okay, I gave it out a couple times. I want you to give it out so they can go look in.
Okay, it's www.signs-of-the-times.org. signsofthetimes.org with dashes in between, not spaces but dashes.
Okay, very good. All right, let's go to callers then. Carl, you're on with Michael and Laura. Go ahead.
Hello, Michael and Laura. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
I have some very critical information for both of you guys that I would like to speak with you off air if possible, because what I have to say will be so shocking to you that the people are not ready to hear it.
Wow.
Now, I was born with 6 fingers on each hand, and it's part of the age.
I know who you are, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, goodbye. He's the Antichrist, Laura. Let's go to Jim from Kentucky. Jim, you're on with Michael and Laura.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Laura.
Okay, how are you doing?
Hi.
Good. I just had a question for Laura. I wanted to know if she could recommend any reading for the common ordinary folk out there that might be able to either tie this psychopathic evil into politics, how they get to be politicians, or how that all works.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll wait for your answer off there. Thanks.
Go ahead, Laura.
Okay. Yes, there's some very important books for everybody to read. The first one would be Martha Stout's The Sociopath Next Door. She kind of cops out, calls them sociopaths. I like psychopaths. Then there is, to a psychopath, sex is relieving a physiological urge, and it doesn't matter to them whether it's an infant, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl, whether it's a woman, whether it's a donkey.
And the reason for that may be, and I'm not saying it is, I'm just, I'm kind of thinking, does it affect their sexual persuasion as well? I mean, how many of them are actually normal heterosexual human beings?
You've got to understand, for the psychopath and related deviants, everything that operates inside them is for power and control over others. However they
this along as I go along here is that they literally do not have any compassion or passion for anybody. For example, let's take I'll give you an example. Bill and Hillary Clinton. Okay, now Bill Clinton has had his escapades with sexual perversion, and I've heard stories about Hillary Clinton. I'm not saying they're true or not, but I've heard stories.
They develop the ways and means of doing this. If they do it by, subtle manipulation, and there are women psychopaths who do it by pretending to be, weak and helpless. But it's all about power and control over others. And, the more power that they can feel by controlling and hurting and dominating others, and it doesn't matter whether, I've heard them.
Okay, so it's about the lesbian acts, and it's like there is no real unity in the marriage there.
No.
It's all for show.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, as far as it's all self-centeredness, the relief of the sexual urge it doesn't really matter who it is or
right.
what it is. And it would